The oldest of 5 children, Bishop J. Terry Steib was born in Vacherie, Louisiana. His aspirations for the priesthood began at an early age.
When I was in elementary school, trying to decide what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be in life, I would often find myself thinking about that because my dad worked in the sugarcane fields, and in the little recesses I would have to leave school and go to the homes of the men who were working the sugarcane fields, get their little dinner buckets that they had, put them on the handlebar of the bicycles, over my shoulders, as many as I could handle, find where the men were in the sugarcane field, give them their dinners, bring it back home again, and then get back to school again. So while I was looking at where they were, I could hear the noise, I was thinking, is this what I want to do when I grow up? Do I want to be like my dad? Sugarcane is nice, we need sugar, but is that what I would want to do? But I looked at the ministers, the priests and the other ministers in the town, and saw how they were helping people to make life decisions, helping to form good consciences so that people could go out and do what was right for them to do. And I said, that's where I wanted to touch people, to help them form good consciences, be good citizens, good Christians, good Catholics, portion of that. And so I looked into the priesthood from there and was encouraged, by others to enter that. So that's how I chose the priesthood.
In the midst of the upheaval of the civil rights movement, the young Bishop Steib was able to find a place to begin his studies with the SVD to work toward his ordination.
It was a community of religious who were missionaries. They would go out into the other countries, to proclaim the Gospels. Where the gospel was not known, not heard, that's what they were called to do. The ones that I entered to in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, were missionaries also, but they were particular within the Black apostolate. At the time when I was thinking about going to the seminary, it was probably one of the only places I could go because of who I was. So I joined the missionaries, had the high school, minor seminary was called, and then went to Canisius, New York for the novitiate, which is like boot training for the Army, for junior college, and then Technical Illinois for philosophy, and then back down to Bay St. Louis for my theological years, and that's where I was ordained. It was there that I learned how to bloom where you're planted, because being with a missionary community, I thought that I was going to go to the missions, to the foreign missions. I was going to go to Africa, where you needed a motorcycle to get up the hill, to work with the people there. And I had 3 desiderata, we call it, 3 desires. One was to go to Africa, or to go to Mexico, or to stay in the southern province. And I said, well, okay, that's great. So my superior told me, says, well, you got one of your desires. I says, oh, great, I'm going to Africa. He says, no, you're going to be working in the southern province. And I said, great, because then I knew I'd be going into parish, and I'd have a swing on the back porch, and doing parish work. But he says, no, you're going to be involved in education. You're going to be teaching, working in the minor seminary and teaching at St. Stanislaus High School in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. So I spent the first 10 years of my priesthood life was involved in education, starting with the elementary school and working my way up through high school. It was helpful for me to be able to view the events that were taking place and to kind of help shape them, with the students, even with myself, in light of the whole civil rights movement was paramount in all of this. Also within my church, how do we put this thing together with the church also, so that we are who we say we are? Because I recall that when I wanted to just serve the Mass, was not heard of that an African American would be a server. At one point, when I went to serve, all of the other servers decided not to serve. And so I was serving alone. I just remember a lot of times just clinging to the knees of my mother, to help me through that, because She was strong and said, this is what we need to do. This is the right thing to do. So don't give up on that. And so it was through her help that we moved along, and things began changing within the church. We could no longer sit in the back of the church. We could go up front, and take our seats and working through all of those. So that was good. When you go to a place, don't go thinking, here's how I'm going to change you, here's what I want to do for you, but how do we work together in bringing about the change? How do we serve as a community? So I spent a number of a couple of years, months and years, to learn about the people through talking to the priests, meeting with the folks, going around to the various parishes to see what was going. Because I was always asked the question, what are you going to do? And I would change it around to say, what are we going to do? And I found out through that process, how good and loving the whole Catholic community is, and how generous, the folks of Memphis are. So I sensed, found out there's a deep spirituality here. And being here in Memphis, if you're Catholic, you have to be Catholic, because you're in the buckle of the Bible Belt. From there, we decided, what's our strategic plan? How are we going to move and to bring the church forward in touching the lives of other people? And so it was that we looked at reopening the schools, which are now the Jubilee schools, and helping to, in that way, evangelize, teach. Not because there were or there weren't Catholics there, but because we were Catholic, and that's what we're called to do. And in being called to do that, how do we impact the neighborhood? How do we bring an education to the folks so that they can then dream about what's possible for them to achieve in life? And in dreaming about that, how do we make a difference? And how do we, in the same process, evangelize? Well, Lasalle means to be involved in the educational process, and at the same time to be able to move people to lift them up from where they are to where they ought to be. CBU fits into it very nicely, because I always tell them, and the whole component, the ideal is to create this one Catholic school system, be it the Jubilee part, be it the private schools, be it the diocesan school. But in doing that, CBU is the top. It's the university. So we have the path that all can take and achieve what they need and want to do. And I'm proud to say that CBU is taking that on and really moving with it, so that we can truly be training our folks in the liberal arts, in all of the forms, but at the same time with discipline and also with a whole Christian Catholic atmosphere. I remember when I first came to Memphis some 21 years or so ago, I was asked, would I be the second real bishop of Memphis, or would I be the third trainee? Because the others had come 3 years, 5 years, and gone. And I remember saying, well, wherever I've been before, I brought some longevity. So I think I brought longevity here by being in Memphis as long as I have. It's become home for me.
Bishop Steib was the 2006 recipient of CBU's Carol T. Dozier Peace and Justice Award. Tonight we are pleased to present him with the Maurelian Medal. Named for the university's founder, the medal is awarded to an individual who has contributed in a significant way through service to the university or the community, and who has distinguished himself or herself in the field of education. Bishop Steib's commitment to education and the people of this city make him truly worthy of this honor. Memphis and the CBU family are glad Bishop Steib bloomed where he was planted.